Welcome to this video. This is the second part of my coverage of my tournament that I played, the GM event. Yeah, the good, the bad and the ugly. This is the bad part. The good part you already have seen. Yeah, so this video is covering two games, and this is round 3 and round 4, those two games. Round 2 was a very uneventful draw against Grandmaster Komarov from the Ukraine. He's a very good grandmaster. He has been about 2,600 rated for at one point, but nowadays he's a coach and his rating has suffered a bit. He's like 2,520 or something, and he basically offered me a draw after a couple of moves. And my strategy was to play this game safe, so a draw was okay. So I took that draw. And the plan was, after that draw in round 2, to win rounds 3 and 4 against the two lowest rated players in the event. And this is about this video. Both games shown now were played on the same day. This was a double round. Always tricky. Yeah, let's start with this here. The black game, round 3 against Paulo Pinho. That's a player from Portugal. He's rated 2,224, and he was by far the lowest rated guy in the event. So if you don't win this one, it will be difficult. Still, he's not a bad player. He has beaten his fair share of GMs, for example, as I saw beforehand. Yeah, okay. He's playing like that. Check. And I went for the BOGO, my line. And I had seen before in the preparation that he always plays knight c3, which is somewhat strange, to be honest. If you are willing to play Nimzo, basically, why don't you play knight c3 on move 3? But okay, it's his choice. I'm going to play c5 here. He went e3, and this was to be expected. He had played this before in a game. So we get the Hübner variation of the Nimzo, a line that I know rather well, as I've written this book about it. Soon to be released, I hope in April, maybe May. It's a publisher's thing. It's already basically submitted. Okay, knight d2, e5. The Hübner variation always leads to a closed position, a very complicated strategic battle. He played knight b3 now, a move that I have faced a number of times in Blitz. To be honest, I never understood what this move is all about. I think it's just not very much to the point. But the nature of the position is that it is so closed, it doesn't matter very much. The knight on b3, what it does, it protects d4, but I'm never really threatening as black to take this pawn, as the position opens up for white advantageously. White might as well play a move like that. I really never want to grab here. This kind of position is very promising for white. He's got, yeah, everything open for the bishops. Well, that's a pretty wrong diagonal. It's got everything open for the bishop, so I'm not threatening to take. But okay, you can play knight b3. It's not a bad move in itself. It's just not doing very much. Okay, b6. Black can also play e4. That's possible. But I don't mind this kind of situation. Yeah, h6 is a good all-around waiting move. e4. Rook b8. Rook b8 is a bit mysterious. Yeah, my experience and let's say knowledge that I've gathered while writing the book is that it is somewhat tricky sometimes for black to make moves in this kind of position where the tension in the center is not resolved. For example, if I play a move like, let's say, queen e7, something to connect rooks later, the move d5 is a bit annoying because my knight really wants to go to e7 and not to b8 or da. Yeah, those squares are not really great. I want to retreat to e7. If I play a move like rook e8, again he might do that, and then I rather want to have my rook back on f8 to play f5 or f4 later. Yeah. So it's a bit difficult to make moves, and the move rook b8 is a move that is often quite useful. You have these kind of ideas, and it's getting out of the diagonal, which is not relevant at the moment, but sometimes it is. So what I'm doing is I'm playing little waiting moves that don't commit to anything. Yeah, and he's shuffling a bit and puts his rook here on the d2 square. Yeah, I am not quite sure if this is leading too much. He can do that. It's not a mistake or anything, but ultimately it's not doing a lot. Queen e7. Yeah, I had played knight e7 to g6 without d5 being played, but this way I'm actually able now to play queen e7, and I don't have to misplace my knight if he goes d5. Yeah, went queen e1, bishop e6, rook d1. Yeah, he doubles on the d file, but yeah, I couldn't really figure out the idea, because, well, capturing on e5 or on c5 is not really an idea. The d file is completely irrelevant because he has no entry squares. Yeah, but nevertheless the position is about equal. After rook c8, I'm setting up a very simple threat. The threat is c takes, bishop c4, and I'm winning a pawn. I now expected the move d5. Yeah, with this bishop e6, rook c8, I'm actually almost forcing this move. Then I wanted to go back, and well, of course here the rooks look a bit silly, but still he probably has to do that. And then we have this typical, yeah, maneuvering battle with the closed center, where I'm going to play the knight to h7 or e8 and then push f5 to get play on the king side. The queen side is just completely closed. Note that in all these lines, the knight on b3 is not the most effective piece. He really almost all of the time wants to regroup it. Yeah, to my surprise, he played now the move g3, which, yeah, I was a bit stunned, because, well, my threat here to take wasn't exactly difficult to spot, but he still ignored it. And yeah, it wasn't a pawn sacrifice. He simply gave it away. I don't know. It was a lapse of concentration or whatever. This is just a pawn. And yeah, after that, black actually should win the game. It is a pretty important pawn, because pretty sure we will trade bishops. He tried to keep them on the board, but here he saw that it doesn't really, yeah, I mean, he can do that. He can keep them on like here. But what I'm saying is, the pawn he has lost is one thing, but also there are entry squares, yeah, like rook here, rook c8. Yeah, I have a pawn and I have play on the c file. This is a very, very good position for black. The other idea that there is sometimes is the direct push with d5. Yeah, not at the moment, probably it's a bit early, but this opening of the center, because he's got some pawn moves in front of the king, and opening it up, getting the pieces towards the king might be an idea. Yeah, that's very nice. Here, however, he captured, which is a mistake. This makes it easier for black. I took with the queen. An interesting moment. I saw that f takes is also interesting. This opens up the f file, and arguably this is even the better move, but I wasn't completely sure. Taking with the queen is not bad. It just keeps the structure sound. And I was a little bit, yeah, this looked tempting to me, yeah, entering on h3. And I think it was a good decision. It's not a problem. He played queen f2. And yeah, here we come to the first moment where we can talk about improvements. I think up to this point I played okay. I didn't do anything special. He gave me this pawn for pretty much nothing. And now it's time to show good technical play. Yeah, for some reason now I thought queen h3 is a good idea. And to be honest, I cannot really explain why this entered my mind. It's not a move that spoils all of my advantage, but it's really not to the point. My extra pawn is on the queen side, and the most natural move, in fact the move that I originally wanted to play, yeah, it was I wanted to play that, and then I thought, oh, queen h3 is also interesting. I was kind of tempted to push the h pawn and knight h5 and things, but this is really nonsense. What I should do is just rook c3, the move that I originally wanted to play. It puts the rook on this weakened square, it prepares rook c8, yeah, and it makes sure that white never is going to play a4. Okay, the queen is on the knight anyway, but it makes it, yeah, additionally different. And this is also a possible idea, entering even more with the queen on the queen side. Yeah, that's a fantastic position that black with good technical play should win. This move is just losing time. I mean, it's not completely screwing everything up, but it loses time. And I quickly saw that that this was a bad move. Rook d6. That's not leading too much, but it's difficult to give white some advice. Yeah, now rook e8 I played, intending maybe rook e6 to exchange this rook. a4. Yeah, and this is something that I really underestimated. a4, a5. I was thinking that this isn't so great because I will always attack the knight, and this knight now is unprotected. And I always thought that I would enter on the queen side then with my pieces and use this looseness of his pieces. But he really has to play a4, a5, trying to weaken my pawns. And yeah, I mean, I'm still much better, but I just lost time, you know. I went queen c8, yeah, maybe rook c8 is better. Just and then going back, yeah, just acknowledging that this was not really great and going back. I'm going here, and here I underestimated one resource, a5. I thought that this wasn't any good because of queen c4, which is what I played. But after the capture and rook b1, which is the only move, I suddenly saw that this isn't so great actually. Yeah, he's got huge pressure on the pawn, and after the capture, which is what I originally thought would be great, he has a very strong move that I overlooked. I mean, I overlooked this when I played queen c8, but it was difficult to do something else by now. Something like, let's say, bishop a7 is great, yeah. After a4, black wins. But he has the move queen d2, and this is surprisingly strong. Here I have problems. The essence of this position is that my knights are somewhat stuck here on the king side, yeah. They look at a ton of protected squares and they don't help to defend the queen side. Maybe here, at this moment, is as weird as it sounds, maybe here is the last moment where I can keep some advantage. I now decided to return the pawns, which is probably not a good decision. What I saw is if I take it on d2, which I didn't, I probably should have done that. I feared that I will lose both pawns, and if I'm able to keep them, it will be difficult to make any progress. But a move like a6 is probably still giving me decent chances to convert this. He will get one of the pawns back, of course. Yeah, if we look at a position like that, this kind of position is probably going to happen. And this is what I had seen. And I was really in doubt that I can do something here. He will come with the king. It's very difficult to make any progress. The engines also only give black a very slight edge in this position. I still should have done that. It's a pawn, and it's not apparent how he gets it back. He has some activity, of course, but it's not like he's easily getting the pawn back and has a simple game. I should have done that, really. I went here. My idea was the following. He took. I went to a4, and here I thought, okay, well, I'm trying to play rook c8, c2 using the weak second rank, and if he takes a7, my idea or my rationale was, then this is really leading to a somewhat loose position. He still did it. He just took the pawn, and here I really thought, okay, I should have some kind of idea. Yeah. Unfortunately, there is nothing. There seems to be nothing. I thought, well, unprotected. This is only covered by the queen. This is unprotected. I thought there should be some way to use this this not very well coordinated white forces, but it's obviously not possible. One problem is that if I play a move, let's say like rook a8, I can play rook b8. And well, this is again unprotected and somewhat not well placed. But my knights, are also off on the king side, and I don't get to activate them quickly. Yeah, I tried h5 ultimately to try to push h4, and he just played h4. Yeah. Again, this weakens even more, but there seems no way to exploit it. It looks a bit strange, but all this unprotected stuff, it seems to be impossible to exploit. Yeah, rook a8 runs into rook b8, so my idea was still trying to win. I played king h7. This is already slightly risky. Prepares rook a8, but it is slightly risky. He went back. Rook c8. And just rook b2, covering the second rank. Yeah, and I originally thought, well, queen a1, isn't there something? But he's got everything protected. I have no way to enter the first rank or in any way do some kind of invasion. Yeah, so I went rook a8 to just put it on b7. Yeah, right in the middle of my camp. Yeah, so what now? What now? I decided to give this check. The computer is, interestingly enough, I mean, multiple engines, is giving this move. I briefly thought about it, but it looked too crazy to me. This is an interesting way to play. I'm giving up one of the knights, which was looking at protected squares anyway, and this way opening up the position. This is probably giving me enough compensation, but I did not really consider this with any serious intent, let's say. I briefly thought, yeah, I might be able to take, but couldn't really believe it. But it seems to be an interesting choice. Yeah, I note that again. Yeah, I'm threatening this for real now, and if he covers that, I'm invading. This is what the engines are giving. Yeah, this is an idea. It seems to be okay. They evaluate the position is equal, but this was maybe the last idea to really do something.
Check.
Yeah, I went with a check and played knight to f8. The idea is to get the knight to e6, possibly to d4. He went knight d6. Yeah, and here we come to the point where I'm overdoing things. Of course, I want to win, and I really must win this game. I mean, a draw is simply it's not enough. So I thought what to do now. Yeah, the problem is that I originally thought, okay, maybe rook d8 is a move, yeah, using this pin. I mean, knight d6 looks a bit strange that he walks into this pin, but he has rook a2 and it's a draw. Yeah, this is perpetual on my queen. So the move rook d8 this is the best move. I need to force the draw now, but I didn't want the draw, so I went king g8 back. But this now, yeah. Okay, bishop g5, it's still okay. Yeah? I can play rook d8 now again, and we have a draw. But yeah, I didn't want the draw, and I went back here with the knight, yeah, trying to kick the bishop back. This is a mistake, simply. And yeah, if you want, you can treat it as a little exercise. White to play and at least get very, very interesting chances. I'm not completely sure if it wins, to be honest. Yeah, what can white do in this position? He didn't play it, but what can white do? Yeah, white can actually sacrifice him. and
check,
then give the check. That's a huge problem now. How can I react to that? If I go here,
check,
he's got this check, and this is immediately over.
check, checkmate.
Nice, huh? Yeah, it is very dangerous. I have to go here actually, which looks crazy, but it's the only move that is somewhat interesting.
Check.
Yeah, and here I'm not sure if white can win really. It looks dangerous, obviously, but can white win?
Check.
I mean, have a look at this. This looks crazy.
Check.
But I see no win here. The engine also doesn't see a win. What white can do is this,
Check.
yeah. Can always go for this with 3 pawns against the knight, which is from a practical point of view pretty good, because the pawns are just so much more dangerous. But I didn't see a win. I mean, I really didn't. Knight f7 was very interesting, though. He didn't do that. He played bishop e3 back pretty quickly as well. And yeah, I went knight e6. And this is actually a move that does lose. Knight e6 now does lose the game. I must admit that I didn't have much time left. I was pretty much on the increment a little bit more than that. And I didn't really consider repeating. I mean, I can repeat, yeah? I can just do this and repeat. And what else is there? I didn't really think very much here. I just went here. And well, I thought that knight f7 is an idea, but I didn't see it correctly. He can now take on f7, and this wins. It really does win. Takes.
Check.
The problem was that I saw this.
Check.
Now the check. This much I saw. And here the problem is takes. And I thought, okay, this is okay because the rook is hanging. But here's this
Check.
this little check, and then e6 falls with a check, and I'm completely lost here. Yeah, you can
check
here, then
check.
Check, and here, yeah. I mean, this is losing. Yeah? I'm a big pawn down, and I have a bad king. This is going to lose. Yeah, but I think his mindset was too much for a draw here, and he didn't really consider this. He had a little bit more time than I had, but yeah, knight f7, that's it. And he went knight c4, just back, rook d8, queen c1. Yeah, he could have played more actively with queen c2. I mean, I didn't really make huge progress here, yeah, with this knight. But queen c1, he played it ultra safe. After that, I'm completely out of the woods in terms of problems. But of course, how am I ever going to win this position? Yeah, it looks a bit strange, yeah, with the c file, but there is nothing. Yeah, bishop d2. Yeah, there are some silly tricks. Yeah, if he does that, he's losing all pieces. But it's okay, that's easy. Yeah, and here there is really nothing going on. I cannot do much simply. Had some more moves, and there was actually one interesting moment here in this position. In this position, I should just play something normal, yeah, like rook b3 or something. It is just a draw. But I wanted to win really badly, and I played f5 here. And this is, I mean, it's probably not that terrible, but it is just not helping any much. You can play rook a6, yeah. And now I have to play king f6. Check. Back.
Check.
And it's just about a draw if he takes knight d4. Yeah, I'm attacking those two. He could have tried that, by the way. It's not bad, but he was just inclined for a draw, and he didn't. He gave the check, but now he just repeated. It's quite funny that the computer. Where is this? I was pretty much amazed. The computer actually gives this as a playable move. I was a bit surprised. I didn't consider that, but if I would have seen it, I probably maybe would have tried it. I really wanted to win this. Yeah, this is interesting with those 2 pawns. The computer actually says it leads to a draw at the end, which is kind of difficult to believe, but maybe, maybe. Yeah, that was a very disappointing game. If your opponent hands you this pawn on a silver plate with this pretty weird move g3. I mean, yeah, my last moves, yeah, if you look at this, bishop e6 and rook c8, it pretty much says, I'm going to take your pawn on c4. I mean, this is like telephoning your intentions very clearly, and he simply ignored it. And not winning after that is a bit embarrassing. Yeah, okay, and yeah, this meant that this was a half a point that was clearly lacking that I really needed, and I really had to win the next game then, which was played on the same day in the evening. This was played, let me load it. Yeah, this was played against Rafael Rodriguez Lopez, a Spanish IM rated about 2,300, and yeah, this is really a must-win now. If you with another draw, it becomes almost impossible to do anything like a norm. You needed 7 out of 9 in this tournament, so you can concede 4 draws, and I already had conceded 2 against Komarov and the game that I just showed. So this is a must-win. Yeah, I'm playing a pretty quiet opening, but in my prep I saw that playing quiet is not a bad idea against him, so I'm going for that. It's all okay, really. He plays this funny quadruple fianchetto with b6. This is a line that I had on the board a number of times, and I normally have good results with this kind of position. It is very, very solid for black. White does not have an objective advantage, but it's the kind of position that I normally play well. Yeah, he didn't really know the theory here well. It was quite apparent. He played knight h5, which is not terrible, but pretty clearly not the best move. Black can just play d6, knight d7, and do the moves that he has to play anyway before doing something like knight h5, which essentially just loses time. I went back, he takes, and he goes back to f6. So he conceded a couple of moves here, or some time for a trade that I welcome. Yeah, white now has a slight advantage out of the opening, and all this was pretty normal. An interesting moment is here, and maybe I'm not really hitting the right timing in this position. I now went for knight d5. This is a case where I completely did not take into account his reply. I just thought, okay, the knight has to go there anyway, and I'm playing knight d4 next. This is a typical scenario for this English opening Maroczy bind type of positions. You put the knight on d5, and it's very annoying there for black to play around, and very often they have to take it. But here's a situation where the capture from a strategic point of view is simply terrible. He played it anyway, and it's not so terrible as I thought because of some concrete reasons. I simply didn't look at the move because, as mentioned, strategically it's just very bad. But as mentioned, for concrete reasons, it is playable. What I did not really take into account is the direct attack on the pawn. The thing is, if I now just, let's say, theoretically speaking, could play knight d4 for knight c6, this is what I meant, yeah, why this is a strategically risky decision. He has this c6 weakness, and if I get the knight to c6, it will be very, very, very unpleasant for him. The problem is that after the direct move knight f6, d5 is hanging 2 times. If I play now knight d4, he can really take that. Yeah, there is no trickery here. Yeah, he's attacking the knight. I have no way to exploit this thing. This means I cannot play knight d4, and the pawn is hanging. So the only move left is the move knight to e1, and this is of course not really where the knight wants to go. Yeah, you want to go to d4 and then to c6 ultimately, and not drop back to e1. This is the only reason why this is even halfway playable for black, that my knight takes such a long time to get to the square. White is still somewhat better, but it's not as catastrophic as I thought when I pretty much discarded the capture on d5 without looking at it really. He went rook c8. The idea is obviously rook to c5, maybe putting more pressure on the pawn. Yeah, I went knight c2. Yeah, this is the route anyway. I want to go via one of those squares, not from b3. Yeah, I want to go to c6. Yeah, he went rook c5. Again, a move I did not really consider because I thought that this is useful for me anyway. But okay, here after rook c7, I played, this is interesting, I played b5. It was also interesting to play the move knight d4. I couldn't really decide what to do. It both looks quite nice. b5 is strengthening this idea of knight d4 c6, but it concedes the c5 square. It's a matter of concrete consideration. Maybe knight d4 is more precise, but I mean my move is not really bad. He went rook c5, went e4, and I'm looking to do this. He went e6. Yeah, again a move I did not really consider, but it is the relatively best one in the position. He has to do something. If I'm allowed to play knight d4 c6, this is just too bad. Yeah, the knight coming there. So he opened up. I thought that it would weaken the central position far too much. Yeah, also this kind of thing. But it seems to be okay. As weird as it looks, but it seems to be okay. Knight takes e4, by the way, was an interesting move. That is quite weird, but not so bad. Yeah, after rook e1 f5, it looks strange to let this pawn live, but there seems to be no refutation. Yeah, he didn't do that. He just recaptured with the pawn. I went knight d4. Still looking at this and looking at this. He has those weak pawns on d6 and d6. Yeah, he went queen e7 to cover that. And I played queen b3, increasing the pressure on the weak e6 pawn. Yeah, he went d5. Yeah, now is an interesting moment, and here I'm maybe making, I'm not sure about it really. Maybe it's a mistake, I don't know. I made one mistake definitely, because I pretty much took d5 now quite quickly. I should have at least considered e5 a little bit. It's an interesting move. It has some negative sides because it closes the center in a situation where black is actually shaky there. But on the other hand, it gives me a very nice knight on d4 and sometimes ideas to attack the e6 pawn with bishop h3. The problem seems to be knight e4, which is kind of unclear. But I did not really consider e5 seriously, and I should have looked at it. Yeah, okay, taking on d5 is not bad, however. It is in a way the more logical move. Takes, yeah, and here he should take with the pawn. This is what I expected. The pawn on d5 is much easier to defend than the pawn on e6, but he took with the knight. And now after rook d2, I'm definitely better. Rook d2 is intending to play this rook to e1 and to increase the pressure here on e6. It's a very, very nice position for white. Yeah, he went queen f7, rook e1, knight c7, has to protect e6, and a4. Yeah, covering b5 so that I'm able to move my knight. He went rook d5 and now queen e3. Up to this point, I'm pretty okay with my player. I'm better to some extent. I wasn't completely sure during the game how much better I am. If you want a computer eval, 0.7, something like that is what Stockfish and Houdini give. He went rook d8 and knight f3. Okay, I'm trading one pair of rooks. But still, what remains is the better structure. Black has 1, 2, 3 pawn islands. I only have 2. I have the better pawn structure, and I have chances to use the knight effectively. This is one route, this is the other route, and the other is putting the knight on e4. After knight d7, it was interesting, by the way. I also can go to f3. I couldn't really decide. It's both interesting. If you go to f3, e5 is a tempting square anyway, and c6 as well. So I didn't really know. I went knight e4 to emphasize this idea. Played here. And I went queen g5. Queen c1 is maybe a bit better, but it's not a huge difference. The one problem comes here. After rook f8, here I'm making a mistake. I mean, okay, I didn't have much time, but still, the next move is kind of pointless, really. Yeah, I went queen e7. What I should do is queen g4, having a look at this pawn and then marching up the h-pawn. Yeah, this is what I should do, but I didn't play that. Why actually? Was it rook f2 that irritated me? But this is not a move. Yeah, queen g4 is just better. After this, he has the rook move, and then I had to go to a3. Yeah, I don't know. Queen g4 was just better. I went king g7, h4. White is still somewhat better, but his active queen on d4 helps him a little bit. h6, king g2. All this is kind of normal. Yeah, and now I had this opportunity to play h5, and it is tricky to defend. It is tricky to defend for black. He now went queen d5, and I went now over queen e2 to g4. This is an idea to put more pressure on him. Yeah, it's not easy for black to defend. Went here, g4, and knight g5. This is just about holding. Yeah, takes, and rook d6. This is maybe not the most precise move. It's maybe queen e6 is better. Trying to hold this position. I'm always better due to the pawn structure, but there is very little firepower left. Yeah, probably we will get some kind of endgame, heavy piece endgame. It's not easy to win. After rook d6, however, I'm getting something very, very tangible. King g1, getting out of this pin, takes here, and now knight g5. Yeah, and here this is a very nice position now. He took with the rook, and yeah, here I'm making a mistake after rook g5. I didn't really consider queen e2 here. This is the better move. Queen b4 looked tempting because going to e7. But queen e2 was better, simply because of the idea to play rook d1 and getting the rook on the open file. After that, he has big problems to defend. If he plays this, intending rook g3, I have queen f3. Yeah, after queen e2, he has very serious problems to defend the position. It's very difficult. He's also tied to this pawn. And I mean, I don't know what he should play. Maybe a king move. I'm going there. And then this is a very nice position. His rook is somewhat offside. I have queen e4, rook d7. That's very, very nice. It's much better than my queen e7, queen b4 move with the idea to play queen e7. Here he had queen f3, and this posed some problems. Still, after queen f3. I can get a very, very big advantage, but I failed to see that as well. I played queen e4 at the end. He's threatening rook g3, of course, yeah, with the draw, with the perpetual. What I could have done is I could have given this check.
Check.
And here, use this square, an idea that I really did not see at all. This is much better. The queen is
check.
now ready to help, and I can escape here. If we look at
Check.
this again, why is this so strong?
Check.
What is his move now? His queen is attacked. If he trades, this is going to lead to a very difficult endgame. This is just one line.
Check.
Yeah, and here I have serious winning chances. Of course, it's not like an easy win, but I have winning chances. Yeah, it's better than queen e4. What can I say? Here he took and went king f6. And if you watched my video yesterday, I was referring to an endgame that I was not sure about. This endgame is coming up now here, this rook endgame. I must say that this tournament was played with 90 minutes per game and 30-second increment, and around here we both were down to like 2 minutes or so and played on the increment. So it's basically a rapid game. Yeah, cannot expect perfection in this kind of time control. I think we played it decently up to one point. Yeah, it's clear that I'm getting the pawn. Yeah? I'm always getting this pawn on a7. But around here, look at this. Is rook king f3 was a bit strange, this move, but it's still a draw, it seems. Rook f6. And here he's playing a strange move. Rook h8 is just much better here. After which I have to return. Yeah, otherwise I'm losing, losing this pawn simply. Oh, sorry, here e4 first. Yeah, okay, the check is better, but he went to a8, trying to get to the a4 pawn. And this is an interesting moment here, where I analyze this a little bit. In the game, this was the last spot where I spent like a minute or 2 minutes, and I couldn't really decide what to do. The two candidate moves are, for me at least, it was playing rook b6 and g4 in whatever order, or bring the king up. And I ultimately decided to bring the king up. It is very difficult to come to a conclusion, but I should have played g4. This was more interesting. This is the line: g4, rook a4, rook b6. This position: e4, g5, and I'm still not 100% sure about this endgame. I looked at it a little bit with the computer, and it seems to be a draw, but I'm not 100% sure. It's a kind of a strange endgame, yeah, because my two pawns are somewhat alone, and the king is not supporting them in any way. And this is also why I didn't play like that. It seemed a bit odd to me, especially if you look at this. I have to go back here to get any kind of probably to h2 even. And I think this is a draw. I looked a little bit, but I couldn't really come to a successful conclusion there. Let's have a look. What was my main line here? G5, rook king f4. G6, rook a7. This is what black should do. Yeah, and now let's say rook a6. Rook g7. And I don't really see how to make progress here. Rook e6, for example. King f5, rook c6 back, and king e5. I don't see how to get anywhere here. Maybe you find a win if you have time on your hands and are interested in this rook endgame. I'm not sure. The comp at some time, after you give it some time, says equal, but I'm not sure. I'm really not totally sure. I went king g4. This is a mistake because it makes things easier. But okay, this is a kind of a gut feeling decision. Yeah, we got to this point, and now the e-pawn is just too strong. I have no winning chances here. I went g5, e3. Yeah, and now I have to make sure that I'm not losing and play rook e6.
Check.
Check. King up. e2. Yeah, and now have to be a little bit cautious if you go g6. This is probably a draw. Yeah, this is probably still a draw. I can take this and then still hold a draw, but it's easier to just take here and then g6, and here we agree to a draw. I'm just promoting the g pawn, and he has to give up his rook, and then we have bare kings. So this was the second draw on that fatal fatal day. And a bit disappointing, of course, because I had had nice positions at some points. Yeah, like here. Here I was quite confident that I should be able to win this, but queen b4 and the next couple of moves, they simply weren't precise enough. So yeah, he fought well to gain this draw, but this basically meant that I was condemned to win the rest of my games almost. Yeah, and well, it's very difficult. Yeah, you still have 2,500 grandmasters to play and a couple of young FIDE masters, so very difficult after this draw to do something in this tournament. Yeah, and this is actually where the ugly part of my tournament starts, and this is covered in round 3 of this, in part 3 of this little series, which will be probably released tomorrow. Okay, well, thanks for watching.